and welcome to this Iron Yogalates session. You will need a mat, light pair of weights. I'm using 2-pound weights, as well as I am wearing 1-pound wrist weights, so a total of 3 pounds. I would suggest under 5 pounds for this particular session because you do not want to push your shoulders too far. You would want to maintain your shoulder integrity. A pillow or towel would be useful. A furry friend always helps. And of course, a glass of water. So we're going to come to the top of our mat, standing with weights in hand. We're going to stretch those arms out to the side and up and overhead, looking up, and exhale, lower down. Again, inhale, reaching up, and exhale, lowering the arms down. A few more times, getting the breath flowing in, flowing out. And this next time, we're going to fold forward over the legs, bringing the weights to the ground and using them to prop our palms on top as we stretch the chest forward with an inhale and exhale, folding into the legs, bending the knees. Let's step one leg back and place that knee down onto the ground, taking the opposite arm up to the sky into a twist. Looking up, option to lift that back knee off the floor, straightening the leg and breathing in. Bringing the arm down, let's drop the back heel so the full foot is flat on the floor and take the same side arm stretched up to the ceiling. Looking up, option to reach the arm overhead, palm facing down. And bring it back up to the ceiling. And lower with control to the floor. Bring your palms to the mat and both feet back into a plank position. Inhale here and exhale, bend those elbows, lowering with control all the way to the mat. So you're on your stomach and weights are in the palms, arms down by the side, palms up, and we're going to float the arms and legs up into locust pose here. Option to take the arms wider into a T shape or even stretching overhead. Resting the weights down, palms on top, very close to the wrists. Legs are mat width apart, and we're going to move into a Pilates swan dive up here. Rolling the weights towards you as you exhale, extending the spine, inhaling at the top, and exhale to press forward. Inhale at the bottom. Bending the elbows so they come right underneath the shoulders. We're going to curl the toes and straighten the legs into elbow plank here. Tighten the tummy, draw the rib cage in, nod the chin, breathe calmly, and bring your palms to where your elbows are, pressing up higher in your plank and then into your downward dog. Reach heels down, tailbone up, bending one knee and then the other, walking the dog. And then both legs straight. Inhale here. And exhale, bring one foot forward into the lunge and drop your opposite knee down. And let's twist, reaching one weight straight up to the ceiling with that option to stretch the back knee away from the mat here. Arms wide apart, dropping back heel down, resting the elbow on the same side knee as the opposite arm stretches to the sky, looking high, bend into that front knee, press down into the back heel, and taking the arm closer to the ear, to the side of the face, reaching overhead and then back again up to the ceiling. And we'll rotate down to the floor and push off that back foot, bringing it forward into your forward bend, placing the weights in a position that the palms can rest on top as you extend your collarbone forward. Exhale, folding into the legs, bend at the knees to lift those weighted arms up and overhead. Exhale, down into mountain pose. Inhale, stretching up again, and exhale, folding forward. propping weights up, palms on top. Lift the heart forward as you inhale. Exhale, fold into those legs. And make sure the feet are hip width apart. You're going to place one hand on top of the weight that's resting on the floor and twist the other arm up to the ceiling, bending one knee, keeping the other leg straight. Looking to the sky and then down to the floor. We'll bring it back down and switch sides, bending the other knee and rotating as we open those arms in opposition. Looking up or down, your choice. And returning to the center, legs are even. Bring the palms to the mat, bend the knees to stretch one leg back. And we're going to drop that back heel down as we move into a warrior sequence. And let's start with warrior 2, arms out into a T shape with those weights. Top arm reaching overhead into reverse warrior. Looking down or up. And then back to warrior 2. We're going to reposition the legs, rotating the trunk of the body forward as both arms stretch to the sky, looking up high into warrior 1. Bend into that front knee. And then bring the arms down. And let's lift the back heel, bend the knees, and attempt a warrior 3 here. Arms are by the side, going to turn palms up to the ceiling and flex that back foot. Lots of energy in that back floating leg, and the option to add a little pulsing in the arms here, about 8 times. A little core stability resisting that motion in the arms. And then lunge as you stretch the arms overhead, looking up, breath in, and control it back down again. We'll place the palms on the mat and move back into plank pose. With control here and tight abdominals, we're going to lower all the way down into prone position, bringing those arms by the side, weights in the palms, palms up, and let's float the arms and legs again away from the floor into a T shape with the arms, and then sweeping overhead, stretching arms away from legs, resting the weights down, wrists where they meet the palms, placed on top of the weights for this Pilates swan dive, rolling the weights in as we articulate the spine up and pushing the weights forward, lengthening the spine down. And bring those arms in, elbows under shoulders for a Sphinx moment. Looking up, stretching through the neck and the jaw. And then lifting those abdominals, curling the toes, straightening the legs, and coming into elbow plank. And where your elbows are, your palms are going to take the position, coming up higher into plank. Popping the hips high to the sky, we'll move into downward facing dog. And bending the knees and straightening the legs. We'll do that 4 times. Inhale, bend, and exhale, reaching the heels down to the mat. On your next inhale, looking forward, take 1 foot, big step forward. And let's do that warrior sequence on the other side, starting in warrior 2. Arms nice and strong into a T shape, palms down. And we'll take that into reverse warrior, reaching the arm overhead, or if you prefer, just straight up to the ceiling. Your shoulders will tell you which one is right for you. And bend that front knee a little deeper, moving back into warrior 2 pose. And we're going to reposition the legs, moving the back leg in just a little closer, rotating the trunk of the body forward into warrior 1, looking up, reaching those weighted arms up to the sky, bending deeply into the front knee. Bring the arms down and lift the back heel, and let's move into warrior 3. Palms facing up, arms right by the hips, flexing the back foot. We can add those pulsing, pumping arms up and down. 8 times, a little bit of tricep focus. Taking a step back into lunge and stretching arms up to the ceiling again. Breath in, breath out. Slowly turn to the front and bend the knees into goddess pose, arms into a T shape. Let's pull those weights into heart center and then lift the arms overhead. And open the arms back into a T shape, palms to the sky. And let's try enhancing our balance by lifting the heels away from the floor. And then dropping heels, straightening the legs. Let's rotate the legs parallel, so toes are forward, and inhale those arms up and overhead, spilling forward over the legs. And we're going to prop up the weight so that one palm stays on top and the other arm with the weight lifts up to the ceiling, twisting, looking up, breathing in. Big toes pressing down, heels grounded. And let's take it to the other side. Try not to shift your hips to the side, keep them in the center. And bringing it back down again, we're going to bend those elbows or keep the arms straight and hold this straddled forward bend for 1 or 2 more breaths. Tailbone high, crown of the head drops. Bending the knees, opening the toes into your external rotation. Let's bring the elbows towards those inner thighs. And I'm just shifting side to side here, letting the pelvis drop, letting the inner thighs stretch. Strengthening through the knees, weights in hand. And then lowering those weights, bringing the palms to the mat to help support you down into a seated, straddled position. And I'm going to use a pillow here, just sitting on top. Sometimes helps those hip flexors to let go a little bit more. With one weight in the hand, we'll stretch that arm up and overhead and send it into a side bend over that leg, rotating to look down and then opening the arm back up again, looking up, breathing in. Bending the elbow and stretching it back overhead, maximizing our side bend range of motion. And then bring it back to the center, reach the other arm up to transition the weight over. And let's take it to the other side. A great side body opener using the weights allows us to move deeper into our poses. Twisting down, looking to the bottom knee, and then rotating back up, lifting the arm, bending it in, exhale, stretching it out and over. Using your side body as you exhale, tightening the tummy to bring it back to the center. And with both weights, we'll walk them forward in front of us, flexing the feet and moving into inner thigh stretch. Forward fold. I'm keeping the chest lifted, keeping the length in the spine. If you like, you could always drop down to the elbows, the collarbone, the chin, and then walking it back in. And bring the legs together. Let's lift the arms to the ceiling with an inhale and exhale, fold forward into that forward bend. And again, I'm just keeping the chest, the heart, the collarbone up a little higher to alleviate any over-rounding in the low back. And my cat Chloe had previously shifted the camera a little bit, so slight camera correction here. And we're going to get ready to move into more of a Pilates sequence with the weights. So have some space behind you, knees bent, hip width apart, and we're going to take that roll back about halfway and then back up. Weights in hand, rolling back Exhale, bring it back up on top of the sitting bones. And we'll take it all the way down, arms overhead. Let's stretch out those legs into a nice total body stretch. Breath in, breath out. Bring the weights down and keep them in the hands as you open the arms into a T shape. And we'll bend the knees, feet on the mat, swaying the knees side to side. Now the weighted hands helps to anchor our arms down and keep the chest open as we twist the hips and legs. Breathing in, breathing out. And then hold to the side and pick up that outside foot and place it on top of the inside knee. And I'm just using that extra weight to rest on that outside leg to take me a little bit deeper into the twist and into the stretch, looking in the opposite direction. Inhale into the rotation. Release the arm, release the bottom leg, and switch the twist to the other side. The outside leg folds on top of the inside knee. And I add the extra weight of the arm on that leg, looking opposite direction, and breathing into the hip flexor stretch, the low back stretch. And releasing, coming back to the center. We're going to take one weight in both hands overhead, and we're going to add a little ab curl here. So inhale, stretching overhead, and exhale, curling head, neck, and shoulders, reaching the weight to the kneecaps. Let's keep the legs perfectly still. Let's exhale and flex those abdominals on the way up. Lengthen on the way down. We're going to add a single leg knee lift. A single leg tabletop knee as we exhale, ab curl. Inhale, lower. And let's take both legs up into tabletop and add some pulses. The weight being held in both hands is just hovering above the kneecaps. About 8 times. And then we'll stretch the legs straight, arms reach overhead, and exhale, flex and curl towards each other. Inhale, stretch, and exhale, curl. Really building that core strength. And we're going to add a little twist here. So stretch one leg straight, bend the opposite knee, and then take the arms holding the weight to the outside of that bent knee. And let's pick up the pace, twisting side to side, reaching to the bottom end of the mat. Try to keep the head, neck, shoulders, upper back floating away from the ground. Think some happy thoughts. We're almost there. And then bring it back to center, resting the head, stretching arms overhead, and then back to our knee sway side to side. So a little release for the hips and back. Just a moment of recovery. Bringing the legs back to the center, hip width apart. Reaching the arms to the sky, we still have that single weight in both hands. And we're just going to try a little leg hip stability, placing the weight on top of the shins. And what this does is lock in your alignment. You cannot move those legs without dropping the weight. Hands behind the head. Let's attempt some really focused and concentrated ab curls here. And this is the kind of stability we're talking about in Pilates when it comes to hips and pelvis stability. So try to keep that weight floating on top of the shins. You cannot drop your feet any lower than the height of the knees. And now let's stretch those long arms straight by the side and some pumping of the arms. And then we'll release the weight and move back into our total body stretch. And let's move into some roll-ups. Keep the work in the abs going. Inhale overhead and exhale to lift that single weight, rolling up. And I'm actually going to use a pillow. So if you're struggling with your roll-ups, try this little tip to place a pillow or a towel at the low back, and then try to peel your spine up and away into a nice tall seated position at the top, and then let your low back melt into that pillow on the way down. So it's a little bit more accessible rather than lifting away from a very flat, hard surface like a floor. So this might be a good technique for you to start to recruit those core muscles that you need to roll up. And let's stay here at the top, lifting the arms overhead with the weight and add some torso twists. I'm allowing the head and neck to also rotate and look behind me. And then lowering the arms all the way down. We're going to release the weights. Okay, let's bend the knees and float those feet into a seated balance, and we're going to roll like a ball here. And you're trying to keep the weight in the same position, so just like an inch in front of those shins. Inhaling back, and exhale, try to roll up and stick your balance at the top before you release back into your roll. And we're going to go for 8. Last one, we're going to try to stand all the way up. Yay! Not easy, especially because you can't use your hands or arms to help you. Yes, you're a superstar. Good job. Good for you. And just at the top, we're just going to finish with some closing moves, the breathing, just as we started. We're going to bend the knees on the way down. We're going to straighten the legs and inhale, lifting up and overhead. Exhale, bending and lowering. Inhale, lifting and lengthening. And let's bring the arms straight down to heart center. Float those heels up. Take all that work, that core strength, that weighted yoga, and put it into a balance. Arms open wider into a T shape. Heels stay lifted if you can. Arms lengthen up and overhead. Breathing. And lower heels. And lower those arms all the way down. Just rolling forward, dropping the weights off and holding opposite elbows. We're going to do a little rag doll forward bend, swaying side to side, soft knees, just a nice little back release, hamstring stretch. Letting it go. And take your time, rolling back up, standing up. Nice and tall, rolling those shoulders up, back, around, and down. Yay, you have done it. Good work. Wasn't easy. Definitely intensifies your yoga and Pilates practice working with weights. So good job, everybody. We shall see you again next time.